James Kroll Jr., he grew up in our house that we live in, and he was a real troubled soul, is what I understood. He would like take off, and he was a hobo at times, you know. And I think he was also in the Merchant Marines in later years. Tom Williamson told me he used to sit over there and listen to him tell stories. And he had what's now our pool room there. He lived in there. And Sammy was telling me he was beat to death in a bar in Louisiana, murdered. And there was I don't know whether they ever caught his killers or not.
Sammy Hinkle?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess Retta and Hanel are on this side, and Jimmy and Willie on that side. I did not know Jimmy Ned was dead. I'm going to ask Jenny about that. Patricia, now I knew she died in 2004, but Retta, great influence on our life.
Yeah.
She was such a character. You know, and she told me, went to bid on a roof, and she goes, I know you're dating that little girl down there at the bank. You need to marry her and buy this house.
I remember that.
I did it. I said, you know.
That's the only woman you ever minded.
I listened to her. She left me a message one time.
Oh, wait a minute.
N.C. Armstrong, a good friend of mine, good friend of Daddy's. Spent a many an hour with him.
Yeah.
Drank a lot of beer.
I used to love Slim Armstrong's story about him. He and Christabel, when they would go to Ruidoso, he'd look at his watch after they'd been gone about 3 days. He said, well, Christabel's probably got the cabin clean by now.
Well, I heard a story. Daddy told a story once that he drove up there at an auction barn. NC was sitting there drinking, and he was drinking quite a bit. And he said, what's the matter? He said, I'm celebrating. He said, what are you celebrating? He said, I'm celebrating that Hugh wasn't twins. Felix, I heard he was a good fella.
Yeah,
I didn't know him, though.
He passed away before we moved to Menard.
Yeah. And I know Felicia.
Yeah, and Terry. And, of course, Jane.
No, Jane. Blue.
Yeah.
He was real funny.
He was. I remember him real well.
They told a story about him. He was old Henry Bradford come up there one time, and he got him one of the TVs with the remote control, and he didn't know how. He'd never seen anything with a remote control before, and so Blue was telling him that all you got to do is say 4, and he wasn't showing him that deal, you know. And every time it'd change, old Henry, he'd look at us like, how'd they do that? And then he said he snuck off behind him, and you know, he was out of the room, and old Henry would say 4, you know, and he'd change the channel for him. Mechanic.
When I had my 10-day nursing career, Irene showed me what to do. She was the best nurse they had.